Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to try to take you through the thought process of customizing a weapon to your liking within Delta Force Mobile. Because as you can see here, it can be little overwhelming and this isn't even the half of it. Wait until you go into the calibrate menu and you'll see, oh my god, what are all this stuff. Then you'll go into the loadout menu. Then you will be like, what are all these stats? I don't understand. Then you will go into the details. Then there are all these numbers, multipliers, flinch multipliers, accuracy. What does that even do? Then you're just lost and you end up making a gun that doesn't kill anything. So I'm going to try to help you do that for every single weapon in game. This is not just for the K4 guys, this guide will help you customize any weapon in game. Now then, how do you go about customizing a weapon in Delta Force Mobile? So for this I have my K4 build here. I'm going to do the K4 in this video because it's in the thumbnail. So now let's start with a fresh K4, just get rid of everything. So the very first thing you should do for every single weapon in the entire game, when it's naked completely, go into details and go into control. This is where you will find the recoil pattern of the gun. The recoil pattern is affected by the things you do to the weapon, and certain attachment can squish it vertically and horizontally. So every weapon pattern is different, some are worse than others, and it can help you figure out what you're going to do with the gun. Okay, so that being said, I like to get a sight of my choice for the weapon. So for me, I'm going to use the panoramic red dot and I'm going to calibrate it to 1.5x. And people who are wondering what eye relief does, it moves the sight inward or outward visually. It's like the sight FOV. So after you get your sight, you will choose your barrel. The reason being, the barrel really is sort of like the cornerstone of your build. It decides what your build is going to be used for. So in Delta Force Mobile, particularly with ARs, I find that stacking or finding the barrel with the most range and muzzle velocity helps a ton because it gives you an easier time hitting your targets at range. Now you'll notice that this has a trade-off, right? The ADS speed and the ADS movement speed is impacted, and you will notice I also calibrated it. So what this does is, when you attach certain things, you can go into the calibration menu and you can calibrate the barrel. You can add plus or minus effect. So you have plus 4% firing stability, but for the penalty of minus 4% ADS movement speed. In the case of most weapon, in my opinion, especially full auto ones, you're going to want to max out the muzzle velocity and max out the firing stability. You can make up the ADS speed somewhere else, and ADS movement speed in the game, honestly, not that important. Okay, so we picked our barrel. Now this is where the balancing act take place. Throughout the build, you're going to go into loadout and then go into detail. You're going to take a look at what is being impacted. Okay, so already our recoil is lower and handling looks to be impacted, right? ADS speed is not as good and stability didn't change much. Now, what's also important is understanding what these specific categories do. This is your damage range, right? So as you can see, the K4 does 21 damage out to 23 meters, then it drops off from there. Control. This contains your recoil multipliers, such as horizontal and vertical, burst firing, stability, all that sort of thing. Handling. This has to do with your reload time, reload empty time, ADS speed, sprint to fire delay, and many things. Stability. This is an incredibly important stat. This has to do with how much your recoil will be reduced while holding your breath. It's actually a multiplier. This is why stability is so important. Flinch multiplier. This will help you basically stay in the fight. When someone hits you while you're shooting at them, you flinch in this game. So having a good flinch multiplier helps you not to get flinched as much as and stay on the target. And then of course accuracy. This can be a confusing stat. People get confused and they say, oh my god, I don't want to sacrifice accuracy, I'm not going to hit anything. Accuracy only affects hitfire in this game. You can have zero accuracy on your weapon and you will still shred. Now moving on to the balancing act. So the next thing I like to do is finding a laser and putting it on a side rail. The reason I like to have it on the side rail is because it doesn't obstruct the scope. Okay, so the next thing I like to decide is what magazine I'm going to use with this weapon. I like to go with the 45 round mag. For me, the 60 round drum mag isn't worth it. In my opinion, 45 is just perfect for this weapon. So the next attachments will be the rear grip, stock, and the foregrip. And this is where you need to understand where your build is going, which is why I'm emphasizing you need to go into details and figure that out. Now for the rear grip, you have a lot of options. There are grips with great handling, which is useful in some builds, and you have grips with new attachments that gives you grip mount. We need stability. So I'm going to equip this grip, and this might not look great, but make sure you calibrate it. We are going to calibrate it for extra control. The reason why I calibrate it for extra control is because extra control is a constant benefit to the weapon, whereas aiming stability while breathing is only beneficial while you're breathing. Now, stability while breathing is fantastic, and I do still breathe when I shoot, but you will see at the end of the video it will not matter. Okay, so let's go to the stock and the stock kit. So when looking at the stock kit, you will notice that you lose the rear grip and you also lose the calibration. So you actually lose the ability to calibrate not only the rear grip but the stock itself. So in my opinion, these stock kits are always never worth it. With that in mind, we are going to go to the stock. So as I said, we need handling without screwing much else over. Now I decided for this build, I'm going to use the 416 light stock. It gives us good handling, good control, screws stability over, but it's fine. And we are going to calibrate it for control and firing stability. So now let's go to the foregrip. As you know, there are a bunch of attachments here. And as you can see it here, weapon stability while firing, sounds fantastic, but I decided for this build I'm going to use the secret order bevel foregrip for the horizontal control stability and FOV stability, and calibrate it for extra control and stability. So now let's just shoot the gun and see what we need. Do you see how bouncy it is vertically? Even though it has quite a bit of control and stability. There is an important stat that you have to pay attention to, and it is found in the muzzle and the grip variety. It is right here, the vertical firing camera stability and the vertical firing stability. Now watch what this single attachment does to the weapon. Did you see that? Do you see the absolute gigantic difference this single attachment makes? It's really a must-have. Now I did mention there is a grip attachment that provides these same benefits. So if you look at the grip attachment, it actually screws your horizontal control over, whereas the muzzle brake doesn't. So that's a very important distinction. Now, what I like to do is equip these patches and just stack handling for the ADS speed. Once we are done with that, we get a final product that just shreds in close to mid-range fight. So this is how I like to customize my weapon in this game. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.